80% of Americans live in the eastern part of the United States, a statistic highlighted by a vivid visual representation of population distribution across the country. Have you ever wondered why such a significant portion of the population chooses to reside here? Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vision Vibes, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of why does 80% of the US population live to the east. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you're in the right place to learn something new and exciting. This staggering figure is just a number, but a gateway to exploring the multifaceted influences that determine where people choose to live. In today's deep dive, we'll explore the historical, economic, and geographical factors that have shaped this pronounced population distribution. Starting with history, the role of European explorers cannot be overstated in their influence on the initial settlements. Men like Christopher Columbus, John Smith, and others landed in the East, establishing footholds that burgeoned into major cities over time. The early trade routes, set up along these eastern shores, facilitated not only the exchange of goods, but also the flow of people, ideas, and culture. Furthermore, economic policies during the colonial era, such as the Navigation Acts, were designed to benefit the East by controlling the trade routes and goods produced in the colonies. Geographically, the imposing Appalachian Mountains served as a natural barrier that directed early colonial expansion eastward. Settlements were therefore densely concentrated along the eastern seaboard as the challenging terrain to the west slowed initial colonial sprawl. This geographical factor, coupled with the economic and historical influences, has etched a lasting impact on the demographic trends of the United States. By understanding these elements, we can uncover the layers of decision-making and circumstance that have led to this significant eastern concentration. Let's begin by tracing back to these historic roots to understand the deep-seated reasons behind today's demographic trends. The story begins with the early settlements, a time when the eastern seaboard was not just a frontier, but a beacon of new opportunities. The initial colonization of America by European powers saw the establishment of the 13 colonies, stretching from what is now Maine down to Georgia. Among the first towns established were Jamestown, Virginia, founded in 1607 by the English, and Plymouth, Massachusetts, established by the Pilgrims in 1620. These colonies formed the nucleus of what would become the United States. The involvement of European powers such as Britain and Spain was pivotal in the colonization process. These nations competed for territorial claims and resources, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the New World. For many Europeans, the promise of religious freedom was a strong motivator. Groups like the Pilgrims and the Quakers fled religious persecution in Europe with hopes of establishing communities where they could practice their faiths freely. This quest for spiritual sanctuary was a powerful draw to eastern shores. Economic opportunities also beckoned. The fertile lands of the Atlantic coastal plain were ideal for agriculture. Colonists established sprawling plantations and smaller farms alike, growing cash crops like tobacco and cotton that thrived in the local climate. These agricultural endeavors were not just subsistence activities, they were lucrative enterprises that connected the colonies to global trade networks, particularly with Europe. However, the rapid growth and diverse motives for settlement also led to social dynamics marked by conflict and cooperation. Tensions frequently erupted between European settlers and indigenous peoples, often resulting in violent confrontations over land and resources. The Atlantic slave trade played a grim but significant role in shaping the demographic and economic landscapes of these colonies. Enslaved Africans were forcibly brought to America, and their labor became a backbone of the colonial economy, especially in the southern colonies. This dark chapter contributed to the economic boom in these areas, albeit at a tremendous human cost. Urban centers began to emerge as well, serving as hubs for political, economic, and social activity. Cities like Boston, New York, and Charleston became bustling ports and trade centers, attracting more settlers and fostering a population growth that outpaced other regions of the continent. These cities were also sites of cultural exchange and conflict, as diverse groups of settlers navigated living together. Thus, by the time the American Revolution stirred the hearts of the colonists, the East Coast was already a densely populated area, deeply influenced by a mix of cultural, economic, and social forces. With these historical roots laid down, the East Coast started off with a much denser population base. As the nation grew, so did its economy, primarily in the East. The Industrial Revolution, a transformative era that began in the late 18th century and advanced into the 19th, triggered sweeping changes across the United States, especially in the Northeast. This region, teeming with entrepreneurial spirit, became the hotbed for numerous technological advancements. Key inventions such as the cotton gin, invented by Eli Whitney in 1793, revolutionized the cotton industry, while Samuel Morse's telegraph, patented in 1840, communication. These innovations, along with the development of steam-powered machinery and the expansion of the railroad network by visionaries like Cornelius Vanderbilt, transformed the northeastern United States into the engine room of America's economic. The incessant smokestacks and the rhythmic clatter of machinery in burgeoning cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. These cities became pivotal economic hubs for several reasons. Their strategic coastal locations established them as natural ports, critical for importing raw materials and exporting finished goods. The ocean connected these hubs not just to the rest of the country but to the global market. Manufacturing centers proliferated, producing textiles, machines, and later automobiles in vast quantities. The human element played a vital role in this economic surge. Millions of immigrants, particularly from Ireland, Italy, and Eastern Europe, streamed Ellis Island, bringing with them dreams and a robust work ethic that fueled the factories and erected the infrastructure pivotal to urban life. Their contributions were immense, from labor in textile mills and construction sites to cultural influences that shaped the social fabric of these cities. New York City is a prime example of this transformation, evolving from a bustling seaport to a towering metropolis, becoming a beacon of American ambition. Wall Street emerged as not just a physical place but a global financial icon, influencing economies worldwide. Boston's prestigious educational institutions like Harvard and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology became crucibles of innovation, contributing to technological advances and fostering a culture of academic excellence that permeated throughout the region. Philadelphia's rich history in American politics and its own array of universities and colleges further diversified the economic and cultural landscape. These cities didn't just expand, they thrived, blending culture, education, and innovation. As these cities flourished, they attracted more people, drawn by the promise of employment, a new life, or the allure of city lights. Each new resident added a unique thread to the vibrant tapestry of the East, each industry contributing to its economic dominance. The influx of diverse, created vibrant, dynamic urban centers, turning the East into a magnet for economic opportunities. Yet one wonders about the untouched expanses of land beyond these bustling cities. How did the rest of the country evolve alongside these urban economic powerhouses? Geography is destiny, they say, and it certainly played its part here. Diving into the geographical canvas of the United States, the eastern part holds a bounty of natural advantages that have historically tipped the scales in favor of settlement and development. Let's journey through some of these key features. Firstly, the fertile soil of the Great Plains stands out. This vast expanse, stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian Arctic, has been a cornucopia of agricultural. Its rich, loamy soil, fed by centuries of decomposed prairie plants, has made it one of the most prolific agricultural regions in the world. This fertility encouraged early settlers to farm and establish communities, setting the stage for a thriving population base. Moving from the soil to the water, the accessibility of major waterways like the Mississippi River and the Great Lakes further enhanced the desirability of the East. The Mississippi River, often referred to as the backbone of America's water highway, facilitated not only trade but also migration. It served as a critical conduit for transporting agricultural products from the heartland to markets far and wide. Similarly, the Great Lakes provided a network of water routes that connected the dense populations of the Northeast to the expanding frontiers of the Midwest, fostering economic growth and encouraging settlement. Additionally, the Appalachian Mountains, running like a spine along the eastern U.S., acted as a formidable barrier in the early days of the nation. Their rugged terrain directed the flow of early settlers, funneling them towards the gaps and passes that led fertile valleys and rich lands beyond. This natural barrier shaped migration patterns and influenced settlement distributions significantly. The role of the Chesapeake Bay and other estuaries was also pivotal in the region's development. These water bodies supported the establishment of prosperous ports like Baltimore and Norfolk, becoming hubs of maritime trade and gateway to the interior. Their sheltered waters made them ideal for shipbuilding and trade, particularly in tobacco and later manufactured goods. Moreover, the natural harbors along the eastern seaboard from New York to Charleston offered safe anchorage and easy access to the Atlantic, fostering robust trade links with Europe. These harbors became the gateways through which European goods flowed into America, and American products found markets across the ocean, significantly boosting the colony's economic fortunes in their formative years. The climate of the eastern U.S. also plays a pivotal role. Unlike the arid and extreme conditions of much of the West, the East enjoys a relatively moderate climate which is highly conducive to agriculture. Seasons here are allowing a variety of crops to flourish, from winter wheat to summer corn. This climate reliability translated into stable agricultural outputs and sustained population growth. These geographical blessings not only made living in the eastern U.S. more viable, but also more desirable. As communities grew, infrastructure followed, and so did economic opportunities, creating a cycle of growth that has continued for centuries. So, geography favored the East, but how has recent development influenced population trends? In modern times, the narrative began to shift slightly. The period following World War II marked significant transformations in the United States, both economically and culturally. The nation witnessed a surge in industrial growth which, while initially centered in the East, gradually began to spread its wings. The invention and mass production of the automobile created unprecedented mobility. People were no longer tethered to railroads or waterways for transportation. This newfound freedom allowed for an outward expansion from crowded city centers, giving rise to what we now know as suburban sprawl. The suburbs offered the allure of a private home, a yard, and a sense of community that city life often lacked. Simultaneously, the development of air conditioning played a pivotal role in making the southern and western states more habitable. Previously, the oppressive heat of regions like Arizona and Texas had been a significant deterrent. With the advent of modern cooling technologies, these areas became not just bearable but attractive. The population in these regions began to swell as more people moved in search of comfort and new opportunities. Then came the tech boom. States like California became the epicenter of technological innovation, drawing thousands to the Silicon Valley. This region transformed into a global hub for high technology and entrepreneurship, which fueled population growth and economic dynamism far beyond what the traditional industries of the East could offer. Despite these tectonic shifts, the gravitational pull of history and established infrastructure held strong. The East Coast of the United States, with its deep-rooted academic institutions, financial centers, and political establishments, continued to wield a significant influence. The dense networks of cities and industries that had developed over centuries proved resilient, maintaining a substantial population base. While the West has grown, the East remains densely populated, a testament to its deep-rooted advantages. The story of America's demographic evolution is one of dynamism and adaptability, but also of enduring legacies and the lasting appeal of its eastern seaboard. From colonial foundations to modern technological shifts, the eastern U.S. has maintained its lead in population. As we've explored throughout this video, the reasons behind why such a significant majority of Americans reside east of the longitudinal center of the country are deeply rooted in history, economics, geography, and significant cultural and technological evolutions. Initially, the historical context set the stage. The early settlements, from Jamestown to the bustling cities of Boston and New York, provided a foundation not just for communities, but for the entire nation. These cities became hubs of political and social activity, drawing in more settlers and eventually transforming into economic powerhouses. Technologically, the East Coast has experienced a significant transformation, heavily influenced by the rise of Silicon Valley. Innovations in digital technologies and telecommunications have seen old industrial cities pivot to new tech hubs. Cities like Boston have embraced these technological advancements, fostering strong biotech and IT sectors that attract talent from around the globe. Moreover, the cultural renaissance in cities such as Washington, D.C. and Boston has made them centers of arts, education, and diversity, further enhancing their appeal and retaining a vibrant, dynamic population. Economically, the East Coast developed rapidly with the rise of industries and the arrival of the Industrial Revolution. Cities like Pittsburgh and Detroit became synonymous with manufacturing, while Wall Street turned New York into the financial capital. This economic magnetism has continued to attract a diverse workforce, fostering a cycle of growth and innovation. Geographically, the advantages are clear. The eastern seaboard offers extensive access to the Atlantic, facilitating trade and transportation. Furthermore, the relatively mild climate compared to the harsher conditions in other parts of the country made it an ideal place for agriculture in the early days and continues to make it a desirable place to live. Understanding these factors allows for a deeper insight into the patterns of American demographic and economic development. It highlights how historical momentum, coupled with cultural and technological advancements, can shape the economic and geographical landscape of a nation for centuries. So, the next time you look at a population map of the USA, you'll know exactly why the East shines so brightly on it. That's all for today, folks. Remember to keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep pushing your limits. Until next time, take care and be happy. Why does 80% of the US population live to the east? And finally, I want to thank every one of you for tuning in. Your support and engagement mean the world to us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this.